I hereby summon all my imps. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. Since the last time I was with you, at least 10 more cards have been released. So I'm going to do another 10 card review. The last place we left off was at Sketchy Stranger. So we're going to move on to the next one that's up for us, which is going to be Sunrunner. Sunrunner is a 5-mana common neutral minion beast that has Death Rattle to destroy a random enemy minion. So 5 mana, 6/5, basically good stats, decently good Death Rattle. I'm not sure that a 5 mana, 6/5 that destroys a random enemy minion is good. The issue with it is it's almost kind of like having Rhinoceros out on the board, where, you know, if it can catch something big, and when that happens, that's great. But if it catches something small, it basically sucks. This might be one of the ones where you use the Hunter power, the Hunter location to give this Rush. This with Rush could be interesting, to just have it trade in for something. But then you have to have the location down already, because you're not wasting this and the location to put it down. So in my view, this card is basically, you know, just vanilla stats. It's a 5 mana 6/6 destroy a minion. Hopefully your opponent has something well to destroy, but the other problem with it is either A, you will run into Ragnar's problem where you can hit something really tiny and be sad, or B, you kind of run into Sylvanas' problem where if this kills and it's the only minion left on the board and the board's clear, it does nothing. Your opponent gets to decide how the trade goes. And unless you get really lucky on this, you're not going to get something big. So I'm going to give this a... you gotta be really lucky to have this be really good. Next up for us is the Spirit Poacher. Spirit Poacher is a 2 mana rare hunter minion that has summoned a random dormant wild seed. And let's see if it gives us what the dormant wild seeds are. So the dormant wild seeds are a 3/1 with Rush, a 2/5 with Taunt, or a 5/4 with, when this awakens, you equip a 2/4 Great Bow. So that's a lot to get out of a card. And I mean, summon a random wild seed, I mean, the one you're hoping for almost every time is this one. I mean, this one's basically the equivalent of a totem. This one's, you know, not the worst thing in the world to get off of 2. This one, if you get it, it's scary, but then for 3 turns, you're just sitting there doing nothing. This is coming down on turn 2. So if you get this on turn 2, this is 3, 4, 5. Turn 5, you get a 5/4. Best case scenario with a 4/2 bow equipped to it. I mean, none of them are bad, but you almost got to get this right on turn 2. And there's almost a point at which wishes, that's a hard phrase to say, that hopes, that would want this to say, instead of Battlecry summon a random dormant wild seed, I wish it would say Battlecry discover a dormant wild seed. Because these, I think, are the only 3. And I hope these aren't showing up for Hunter normally, because I don't think any of them are good for Hunter normally. I don't think they'd ever see play. And it's so weird that you're giving one card this much text to see in it. That you're going to, you know, have these 3 cards come out of it. You know, you get something good, you get something bad. I mean, best case scenario, worst case scenario, just starting to say, is the fox. You summon this, you get the fox. Fox comes next turn with, it's a 3/1 with Rush, you know. You got a 5/4 for 2, sort of. You you know that your next turn, you're losing anything with less than 3 health. The other two of these, this is the scariest one, but it's so down the road. If you get this on like turn 7, if you're dropping this on turn 7, this is turn 8, 9, 10. And on turn 10, do you really care if you got a 5-4 with a 4-2 weapon that just showed out of nowhere? Alright, next one up for us. So I'm giving that one a way too many cards for one card. Next up for us is going to be the Famished Fool. Famished Fool is a 5-mana neutral minion card with draw a card and infuse of 4, draw 3 again. Draw 3 instead. So this is a 5-mana draw card. So that's worth probably about 2 mana. It's a 3/5. So, I mean, that's, about where it should be. It's a little low in stats. If you can infuse it, that's a lot coming through. But again, you're almost running into the hats and pants problems, where it's like, how many cards can you run with infuse if your cards with infuse need to be this thing that dies to get your other infuses to power up. So you can't just run everything infused, otherwise you're not getting the benefit of any of the infused stuff. If you drop this on 5, it's not great. You're drawing a card, but there's other cards that you could play way more than this that would have a battle cry and draw a card. So I'm giving this a only good if you can have infuse work. Next up for us is going to be the Lowlight. Lowlight is a 2-mana Demon Hunter card has Battle Cry, choose a card in your hand, shuffle it to your deck. 2 mana 4/4, slight downside. Great top deck a lot of times. If you get this on the top deck, you just, get a 4/4 for 2. Not really the worst battle cry downside on this, You get to choose a card in your hand and throw it back. That's basically scrying in Magic. You would play tradable almost to get the same effect. You're basically trading a different card in your deck to get +4/+4. +2/+2 almost, because of 2/2 for 2. I mean, it's going to come out, and people aren't going to care, especially in Demon Hunter, which has about a bazillion ways to draw sometimes. So I'm going to give this, we'll definitely see some play. Next up for us is going to be Shattered Bone Spike, which is the 2-mana rare rogue spell, which has deal 3 damage to a minion. If it dies, your next card this turn costs 2 less. So 2 mana, deal 3 damage to a minion. That's a little low for a minion-only attack and not being able to go face. A lot of times you can kill off something and get 2 back, so this is almost a free card if you can kill something on there. So this is going to definitely be a combo enabler. Anything with less than 3 health on the board that's left after you do some training or exactly at 3 health, throw it on that minion. And if you have something else in your hand, cast that also for 2. It's almost a free card a lot of times. So I'm going to give this definitely a combo enabler. Next up for us is going to be Suspicious Alchemist. Suspicious Alchemist is a 1-mana mage minion, which has Battle Cry, discover a spell. If your opponent guesses your choice, they get a copy. This is a very weird mechanic. I mean, it's a tiny bit of a downside. There's going to be times where your opponent knows straight up which card you picked. And there's going to be times where you don't care that your opponent knows which card you picked. So you're gonna 3 cards are gonna show up for you. You're gonna say pick the middle one. Your opponent knows that you picked the middle one, and they get a copy of it. Depending on where you are on the game, you're not gonna care because there's gonna be turns where you're gonna get a fireball. Let's just say. And that's going to kill your opponent. And if you kill your opponent with this, it's great. Even if your opponent guesses completely right and it's early game, your opponent then needs to play that spell also. And, sometimes you're not going to care if your opponent guesses right. Is your opponent going to have the time to play that spell? Is that spell only going to help you? And there's going to be times where you just pick something completely weird or pick something completely that makes no sense for your deck right now, and it's just going to be an extra spell for you, 1 mana, 1/3s have seen play all the time. That's pretty much the best stats that you're going to see for 1/3. This is a 1/3 that has 2/3 of a chance of being an upside and 1/3 of a chance of being a downside. So I would be really shocked if this doesn't come up from time to time. And I'll be really shocked if there isn't time where people throw this down on turn 9, turn 10, just not caring what you get off the spell, hoping to find it out in that situation. So I'm going to give this a hoping to find an out. That's up for us is going to be the Tone Tampering, which is a 3 mana epic warlock spell, which has shuffle 1 cost copies of cards in your hand into your deck, and then discard your hand. Discard warlock. They keep trying to make this a thing. There is not, unless they put real synergy behind it, there's not enough discard at this point. You need some big stuff in your hand. And it's going to make it's going to make your deck bigger, because first it shuffles 1 cost copies of those cards into your... First, you shuffle 1 cost copies of cards into your hand, into your deck. Then you discard your hand. So, it's going to make your... It's basically saying, throw your hand and get those cards back. There's not enough discard synergy yet. Every once in a while, Blizzard decides that it wants to try discard out. There's a few cards for discard, but there's not enough synergy yet. And I don't think this set will bring enough synergy for a Disco off to work right now. So I'm going to give this a Disco is dead. Next up for us is going to be the Sin Strider. And this one is a 6 mana legendary neutral minion that says every third minion you play, the third minion you play each turn costs 0. And I'm going to go out on a limb and assume this counts itself, so you play 1 more minion after this, the third minion costs 0. Anytime you write cost 0, the phrase cost 0 is scary. It is there was a reason that the other form of this that made your spells cost 0 eventually had to be 1. There's going to be something that makes this scary. There's going to be something that you're going to sit there and go, oh my god, how are they casting, 6, 7 minions on this? Because turn 7, the way this is written, you play this down, you play a 1/1 of something, you can cast another 8/8 straight off the bat. I mean, anytime you write cost 0, you gotta be careful. I am personally saying that somewhere down the road, this might get nerfed to cost 1. They'll put the cost 1 on here, because they need to learn that cost 0 is a scary phrase to put, especially, and I'm going to jump, I know in standard, this might not be the scariest thing, but I'm going to jump to wall for just a second. That's scary in wild. Even on 6, that might be scary enough on wild. There's alignment decks that are going to love this card. There are alignment decks that are just going to go crazy with this card, with Druid alignment decks. Playing this down, getting cards for 0. Oh, that's going to be scary. Next up for us is going to be Burden of Pride. Burden of Pride is a 4-mana epic warrior spell that has summon 3 1/3 jailers with taunt. If you have 20 or less health, give them +1/+1. This is what they look like down here. They're just 1/3s with taunt. And then if you have low health, they become 2 5s with taunt. It's 3, it's so hard to get through. It's a little bit of a wall for 4. Even at 20 health, getting 3 2/4s for 4, that just seems not great. I mean, 3 1/3s for 4 is about average. That for 4 on itself would be playable. To give them +1/+1 and be at less than 20 health, I mean, I like the fact that they're printing something that is mostly a defensive card and not an aggressive card. And I like it that it's the fact that it's health and not so that you can have below 20 health, but like have 50,000 armor if you want to, and it doesn't matter. So it's going to be interesting to see this, because to me, this is like just about fair with a slight upside. So I'm going to give it just about fair with a slight upside. Next up for us is going to be the last card we're going to talk about today, which is going to be the Demon Hunter card. Demon Hunter card, Cresseth the Borishes, is a 4-mana legendary card that has discard your hand, Daff Rattle, draw 3 cards. 4-mana 7/7, the old the old joke of 4-mana 7/7. I don't think Demon Hunter cares. I really don't think Demon Hunter cares about dropping their entire deck. If you want me to be 100% honest, they don't care. I could see this being played right on 4. They've got it. Again, Demon Hunter is one of the cards, one of the archetypes right now that have like a million ways to draw. So they just might throw this down on turn 4 and lose their entire hand and not care. And I'm not sure there's any point where this is the worst downside in the world, other than the fact that right now a 4-mana 7/7 might not see play. And that's the problem, because there's the one that's the Clam, I think is 4-mana 7/7. I'd have to look at that. The Death Rattle, your opponent draws 2 cards, and Clam's not seeing play. And I don't see where Demon Hunter would give up this and not just play Clam themselves, because, you know, you have the ability to play a 4-mana 7/7, why not just play Clam? So I might just give this a why not just play Clam. So those are the 10 cards that have come out since I last did a review. There are more cards that have come out since this point, so I will be doing another 10 card review tomorrow. I do appreciate everybody who's watching. Thank you so much. And always remember, play for fun.